No, please. I can't.
The best zombies map of all time.
Best zombies map of all time.
Zombies
Kino
map of all
Toten
time.
Black Ops 1.
Kino Toten Black
Kino
Ops 1.
Toten Black
Toten
Ops
Black
1.
Ops
Kino
1.
Toten Black Ops 1.
Kino Toten Black Ops 1. Kino Toten Black Ops 1.
Kino Toten Black Ops 1. Kino
Toten
Toten Black Ops 1.
All right, fine. I'll make the Kino Toten video. November 9th, 2010. Treyarch released their second title in the Call of Duty franchise and the start of a new installment known now as the Black Ops line. World at War was Treyarch's first attempt directing a Call of Duty and immediately was a hit, from the campaign to multiplayer, and most importantly, the mode that would go on to define Treyarch for who they are today, zombies. And while World at War, without a doubt, was a success, Treyarch was not fully recognized for their masterpiece of a creation until Black Ops 1. All the innovation in Black Ops 1 that would be so important in newer games set the stage for what was to come from the mode, but it all started from one map alone that would bring in millions of players by showing all the basics of the mode and the personality and passion that Treyarch had for this quote-unquote side mode that did not yet receive the respect it so desperately deserved. If not for this map, zombies might not even be where it is today, and so I give you Chaos Like Silencer's definitive best zombies map of all time, Kino Toten Black Ops 1.
Where are we? Venom! It's kick-ass! Let's do it!
There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Kino. But let's start with the basics. Kino is set in a movie theater, which is also a facility because Treyarch loves facilities. I mean, just look at Cold War. Kino feels like the most World at War map because it's creepy atmosphere that doesn't necessarily do a lot, but the silence of the map, with the floorboards creaking and pieces of the ceiling falling, make you feel like you don't belong there. Almost like going into an abandoned building with your friends and knowing you're not supposed to be there, but it's fun and it's creepy because, you know, you're doing something wrong and, you know, there could be some pedophile on the floorboards. The main reason why Kino is so similar to World at War compared to all the other maps is because originally Kino was going to be DLC 4 for World at War, but was cut because Modern Warfare 2 was coming out and Activision didn't want attention taken away from their new game. And while usually I would probably say something about Activision being Activision here, honestly I think this change was for the better. Kino and World at War as a DLC 4 would have changed almost nothing from Derice and would not even have given things to us like the Thunder Gun and Overcrawlers. And could you imagine if the launch map we got for Black Ops 1 was 5? Like, listen, I love 5, but that map is clearly not friendly to new players and does not give a firm understanding of what the mode is. I think when it comes to a launch map, it's very important that the map shows off all the basics of the mode, but at the same time isn't too difficult. Because if it's too difficult, it's going to turn it off to a lot of players, but if you start basic and start going up slightly in the game, it's a lot better. DLC maps can be more complex because only players who are really into the mode are going to buy them, especially DLCs 3 and 4, but a launch map needs to show what the game is about, showing all of its main features without overwhelming the player, but at the same time showing how much the mode can offer. Kino starts with the important decision of all of zombies: do you go left or do you go right? Go ahead, make your choice. I'll wait. Okay, right, so if any of you chose left, you might be a little bit brain dead to some extent, but hey, you know, it's alright, we accept you, and I'll give you a redemption question. So are you M14 or Olympia Gang? This one should be much easier for you, as there really is only one right option, and that is obviously the M14. Just all the points you get alone make the gun so much better. But if there is any doubt in your mind, let me ask you something. Which one of the two made a return in Chronicles? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't the Midbia. It is crazy to me, though, that even things like the starting room wall weapons have become so iconic in zombies, even getting whole cult followings behind them. It really just speaks for the community of zombies, but mostly for the earlier titles. Speaking of, Black Ops 1 weapons, they are extremely fun to use, especially with Pack-a-Punch giving certain weapons grenade launcher and shotgun attachments. While they're not the greatest and, you know, they really don't last that long, it's still really fun and it makes weapons feel more unique and just special. Black Ops 1 has a great pool of weapons in the box, ranging from really bad guns like the China Lake to really amazing guns like the AUG and RPK. I will say ammo is still a huge issue with almost every gun, especially the SMGs. But wait, there is something that saves us. It's something new in the box, that being the new wonder weapon, the Thunder Gun. The Thunder Gun is easily one of, if not the most iconic wonder weapon in zombies, with its only true competitors being the Ray Gun and Wunderwaffe. But the Thunder Gun is one of my favorite wonder weapons to use, ragdolling an entire horde of zombies and just make them go flying. And it makes me think, like, I really wish we got to see it on 5, because it is a weapon that could save you in close quarters, which I think it would work really well. And there's also the Nova Crawlers on 5, and it'd be cool to use against the Pentagon Thief. I think there's a lot of things that Thunder Gun would actually be very useful for when it comes to 5. But unfortunately, we got the Winter's Hell, which we'll get into next episode, but I have to bring it up because, man, I hate the Winter's Hell. One of the very few innovations that Kino introduced are the second zombie bosses that we've seen in the mode, and that is the Nova Crawlers, which honestly are just an annoyance more than anything else. Like, they're okay, I guess, but they just force you to aim down instead of just aiming for headshots, which kind of is just annoying. Like, they don't really do anything. They explode and they make your vision blurry. You can't see anything. I guess they can take out a zombie or two sometimes, but that's about it. The only way that you don't have to deal with them is if you get the Thunder Gun, so I guess that's cool. Even if removing them would, get rid of one of Kino's only innovations, I still would prefer it. I actually just hate Nova Crawlers, especially, like, on future maps. I don't think they're that bad necessarily on this map, but I don't know, maybe I just got so overwhelmed with how many times they've been reused to the point where I don't even want to look at them anymore. And speaking of innovations, we did get a few more. Like, for example, we got a little bit more story focused things in Kino compared to everything in World at War, like just the voice lines or the reels that show you things, or you can do the Ascension launch Easter egg. That's pretty cool too. It also gives us more space to train, which I know isn't really an innovation, it just gave us more map space, but compare the Kino stage to, like, I don't know, the Doris entire layout, and I mean, it's kind of shown that, we obviously were given more space here. So recently, everywhere I look on the internet, and really just for like the past 5 years or so, I see people saying how Kino is overrated and really is only loved as much as it is because of nostalgia, and it was a lot of people's first map, which I do agree. Kino should never be a top 10, even top 20 is crazy to me. But I never saw Kino as overrated by the community, especially since it's still a good map and at the bare minimum deserves to be considered as an average zombies map, because that's what Kino was attempting to achieve. You have to remember, Kino came out when Pack-a-Punch was a new concept. Kino wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel here, but instead was made to make everyone's first impressions with the mode to be set on a Doris level, because Nocturne Toten was the launch map on World at War, and obviously a lot has changed between World at War and Doris. So in that regard, I think Kino did what it sought out to achieve and excelled being the most important launch map of all of zombies. While I do think people who say Kino is bad simply because it does not have enough content and is the definition of bare bones are wrong, I still don't think it's a great map. Sure, a great map for its time, but not a great map when looked at compared to today. One of my biggest complaints of Kino is the personality is lacking. A lot in this map, especially when compared to other maps in Black Ops 1, we have the Pentagon with JFK and Fidel Castro, a Soviet launch site with space monkeys and new perks, a lighthouse in Siberia with George Romero, the creator of zombies and prominent actors at the time, with an explosive sniper rifle, a hidden city in the jungle with ancient ruins, new variants of zombies, and a beautiful setting, which for some reason people believe it's still on Mars. Or what about when, I don't know, we literally go to the moon? Now take all those maps and compare it to an abandoned movie theater with a teleporter. Not all that exciting, is it? And I think this is where Kino really shows it lacks character and that it was clearly meant to be a World at War map. Another thing that really causes downfall is the fact that it suffers in the same way Doris does, in the way that replaying this map over and over again can get boring because it's the same thing every game with no real differentiations from game to game other than maybe the weapons you use. Even the Easter eggs in the Kino are lackluster compared to Doris, but hey, the 115 song is good and very iconic. Multiplayer Kino der Toten is very similar to Doris in the way that it is a perfect survival map with a lot of fun to be had, but as soon as you start getting to the mid-late 20s, and the rounds are slow, which, I can't say this is a Kino issue. I think this is more just a, zombies issue in general, that playing with friends, the rounds just take forever. And I get it, they gotta increase the zombie count because when you play with more people, it'd be easier to get through the round. But that's just a personal complaint I have with zombies. I think it takes way too long. There's no reason I should be on a round more than 10 minutes, especially when I'm below round 40. Which does suck because early rounds of Kino are very fun, but unfortunately because when this map came out, in terms of multiplayer, it actually is my least favorite map so far that we've covered. Before and after Kino, have something that makes you work together with your friends, which I think is something you really need to capitalize on when you're playing with others. For example, on Verrückt, where there is very limited space and you can only survive by working together, or Doris, where camping all huddled up in the corner, shooting when it's your turn, it really just adds to the idea of, I'm playing with friends. Instead of like on Kino when pretty much everyone's spread apart. Usually one or two people will stay on the stage, one person will go to the alleyway, and the other person will go to spawn. And that's basically how every Kino game goes because there's no real area you guys can all work together. It really sucks that in a lot of ways, Kino feels like a lesser Doris, getting almost the same treatment as Shinonuma was to Verrückt. Kino was just not made with innovation in mind, and instead was made as a repeat of the previous map, which doesn't make Kino bad, it's just makes it a copy and paste in a new setting with not much personality. Even in its Black Ops 3 remake, I still feel it's missing something, and if anything, actually, I prefer the Black Ops 1 version because of that difficulty level that is missing in Black Ops 3. However, Black Ops 3's Kino der Toten looks beautiful and got rid of the very nice people during the 1940 symbol. I swear, looking at this map cleaned up and on a new engine makes it feel like an entirely new map, and it's still a map I can play today. What the fuck? It's still a map I can play today if I want to just get into a game and play for survival. Goblin Gums and additions like the Ray Gun Mark II also make this map more fun with friends because everyone can just have good weapons comparatively to Black Ops 1 where the only people with good weapons are whoever get the Ray Gun and Thunder Gun. So with all that in mind, let's put this Kino der Toten Black Ops 1, the best zombies map of all time of course, into the iPlacer scale and see where it compares to the other maps. Now if any of you are confused and you're like, yeah, what the fuck is an iPlacers? So iPlacers is an acronym that I made, and it's basically how I rate all my zombies maps in these types of videos. iPlacer stands for Innovation, Progression, Layout, Atmosphere, Content, Easter Eggs, Replayability, and Survival. I believe iPlacers is a good system because it's the things to me that matter most about a zombies map, and if you want a more in-depth look on how I do it, I will leave the link to how I rate my maps in the description. But let's continue on with the ranking. So for innovation, it's a 1. I mean, come on, Kino really adds nothing. Nova Crawlers and the Thunder Gun, which technically were 5 additions at first, but got switched to Kino der Toten because, you know, I mean, no one wanted to start on Kino with the Wunderwaffe again or, you know, the Winter's Hell. Progression gets a 3. I think it's very average progression for a map. It's nothing crazy. It's, you know, the same thing we saw in Derice where, you know, you spawn in, go through the map, open up Pack-a-Punch, go Pack-a-Punch, get your perks. That's about all there is to it. Layout gets a 3. I think the map layout is pretty average, nothing crazy, but it's not bad either. Atmosphere gets a 4. I actually like Kino's atmosphere a lot. While there's not much to it necessarily, it really does capitalize on that World at War feel, even though, you know, again, Black Ops 1 game. It honestly is pretty good, and especially on solo, you can definitely feel that creepy atmosphere. Content gets a 2, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest, there's really no content in Kino. But, I mean, there are little things. Shout out the 115 Easter egg once again. Launching the rocket is cool. And, you know, obviously they gave us the Thunder Gun, which is important. Easter eggs, a 1. There's really no Easter eggs, and again, like I just said, and that there's really only the Easter egg song, and about it. I don't know, it's nothing crazy. Replayability gets a 3. It's pretty average replayable mode and nothing insane. I think it's good but not the greatest. Survival gets a 5. It's easily the most important map when it comes to survival because of, you know, the fact that it was on launch, and just if you're gonna play survival, you think of a few maps, and Kino is always in the top of that list, let's be honest. Oh yeah, and I should mention that for iPlacers, I rank each one of these categories 1 through 5, 1 being the lowest obviously and 5 being the highest. Kino at the time was so important and probably is one of the most talked about maps with a strong community that backs it. Just look at the Syndicate Round 115, which was an extremely important video for the time, even if now it does seem to be cheated. It still shows how much people loved Kino, and so if Kino is anything, I would say it is a map that was loved for a long time by everyone, but due to time, people got tired of it. It was the old basic zombie stuff, and people wanted more content, which is something Kino just can't offer. While I love Kino and many others do, it is fair to say that it's just far from perfect. I think that even if you try to ignore the fact that, oh, well, look how it came out in the time, you still cannot compare Kino der Toten to something like Mob of the Dead or Der Eisendrache. However, I think that it will forever be a very important map to the mode and will not be forgotten. And so, for my final ranking of Kino der Toten, just below Derice, B tier, good. 116 is real, 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 116 is real. Strawberry cheesecake.